This is DrumWise Meets. Today, I'm here with Frank Zummo from Sum 41. Hi Frank.
Hello buddy, how are you?
What age did you get into drums? What bands inspired you when you first started playing? And can you remember what your first drum set was?
Totally. And I actually just answered this question this morning for Zildjian because they're doing like my first Zildjian. And I found a pic of me when I was 2 years old. That's when I started. My parents told me that because obviously I don't remember this, but we had finished dinner and I walked away from the dinner table. And the next thing they heard was me playing my dad's 1976 Ludwigs in the next room. And that was it. And he had his 76 Ludwigs with Zildjian cymbals, Remo heads, and that was it. I started then, fell in love with it. And the thing that really did it for me was at 5, my parents took me to my first show, which is pretty rad of them to take me to a big arena like rock show at 5. And it was Ozzy and Motley Crue. And like right when Tommy came out and started playing, I was like, we were in the nosebleed, like probably the last row in the arena, me being, that little, it seemed like I was, miles away. It just had such an effect on me, like his presence as a showman, as a drummer. And I just literally knew in that moment that I wanted to do it. I to this day, I remember that like feeling and connection. And that's really what did it for me. I actually still have those Ludwig drums. They're in my house now. I've got them restored. Mike from SJC, who set this up with you and I, helped me restore the kit. And we actually used the toms on the new Sum 41 record. And I just used the full kit with the 76 Superphonic snare drum on my solo record, which was really cool to just revisit those drums. And just like, those are those drums that you don't do anything to. You just put a mic on them and they're just like, don't even have to cut a hole in the kick drum, like just magical drums. And that's like my childhood, having those drums. And my kids play them now, which is pretty cool to see that,
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty special. And it must have been really cool then when you stood in for Tommy for Motley Crue. If that was your first gig, that must have been incredible.
More incredible for my father, who got to see his son. My dad was in one of the shows that I played, happened to come to one of the shows I played. And for him to be in the audience, seeing his child now on stage with the band that inspired him was like you could actually, if you go on my YouTube, you'll see Tommy Lee talking to the audience about this exact story. And my dad was in the crowd at that show. So Tommy, like, I didn't ask him to do that. He just told that story to 30,000 people. And my dad happened to be there, which was pretty special, which I can only hope I have a moment like that with my kids one day. I mean, for me, it was like, I just kept screaming during the shows because it was just the most surreal, to obviously become buddies with the band that inspired you. And then to just actually get to get the call when Tommy, got injured to go be in the band for 2 weeks was like another level of, that was like the ultimate bucket list check off. Like, I'm good,
Yeah. I guess you didn't have to learn much material because you just knew it all anyway.
Literally the only thing that before we went on stage, because there was no sound check, there was no rehearsal, I just said to Tommy, I was like, you have like, 6 electronic pads around the kit. Just let me know which samples are the motorcycles or the bell or the 808. So he just navigated me through, that, and then just gave me a quick like, hey, we extend this outro. And then, the backing tracks just had, count-ins for clicks and stuff like that. And like, he had a microphone that went to my in-ears for the first show just to talk me through any little things that might have been different. And then after that, he got to just enjoy it. He literally put a hoodie on and was at front of house watching the band play, which was pretty, you don't obviously ever get to do that when you're in a band and you get to hear how your band sounds and you get to see it from the front side. It's like a totally different experience, which I've never done, obviously. So that was pretty cool for him to get to see that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. And that's a good point, actually. I often think that when the bass player or the guitarist or the singer go out the front to have a listen with their wireless stuff, and then you're sat there going, well, I never get to do that.
I know the only time I've done that is a couple B stages. Like I've done a couple like solo shows with a B stage, and to just hear that PA coming back at you is so powerful. I mean, it's insane. And just to be in the middle of that audience surrounding you, I've done that a couple times. I actually had Facebook is always reminding us of 2 years ago this happened, and it literally I can't believe it was 2 years ago. But me and Adrian from No Doubt played in Dallas in this big old ballroom, and we were set up in the middle of the audience on a B stage facing each other, and we played like just crazy mashups and remixes together, and we just had the audience fully surrounding us, which was pretty amazing. And just to hear that giant PA just coming back hitting you is pretty rad.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So going on to the gear question here. Obviously, I know that no one's using any equipment really right now, but on tour, what's your normal equipment setup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being at home right now, my rig is Ableton. I've literally just been writing in Ableton and just getting my Ableton chops up. But yeah, on the road, we have an A and B rig, two duplicate rigs, just because the logistics of travel is so crazy. So I have two identical rigs size wise. The only difference is the drum shells are just my kit in America is mahogany, and my kit in Europe, UK is maple, and the finishes are just different. In America, the kit was hand painted by street artist Shepard Fairey, and then in Europe, UK, we have his images like printed actually onto the shells, which is pretty cool. But the same sizes, same everything. But yeah, I use SJC drums. And Zildjian cymbals. I have literally, the entire line of every, A's, K's, effects all throughout my kit. Remo heads, I use the same setup live as I do in the studio, just coated Emperors on the toms, clear ambassadors underneath, Emperor X on the snare, and Power Stroke 3 with black dots on the kicks, and gong tom, and a head drumsticks. We have a signature stick I did with them a couple of years ago that I used for sticks. All Roland electronics and DW custom rack system. I had them build this profile rack system because I'm such a big kit, just to get everything at the right, dimensions. And I just like a clean looking kit. So I use DW hardware, DW rack systems, and then just a bunch of little, trinkets and things here and there throughout the kit, but that's like the meat of it. And I miss it. Our last Sum 41 show was in February. We did a month of our big European, new album cycle tour. We're doing, all Europe and all that. And we were actually supposed to be in UK like last weekend for Slam Dunk Festival, where I was going to play a solo set, and then Sum 41 was headlining. They postponed it to September, and now they just canceled it, and it's in 2021. So I'll see you in May of 2021 if the world's back in order by then. And I'll be doing a solo set, and a Sum 41 set, which should be pretty fun.
And actually, this is a great opportunity just to give a shout out to Mike from SJC for kind of getting us together here and for being such a great guy. So thanks, Mike.
The best. I mean, we've actually toured the world together doing these Loyal to the Craft drum workshops. We started it a couple years ago in China, actually, and we were so inspired and had such great stuff there. We took it out to the States, and Mike and I together have done about 3 tours in America, which literally ended, and then the coronavirus lockdown quarantine started. So I'm so grateful we got to get in, a week's worth of shows, and the whole goal of that is for us to go out and inspire and motivate upcoming drummers, kids. We give them the stage to do whatever they want, drummers, bands, and I'll perform. Mike and I will talk and just hang, do a Q&A. We give away rad giveaways. We do a signing, meet and greet, and then I perform with all these kids to wrap up the show. We'll play some 41 tunes. We played Rush tunes in the last tour, and it's been amazing. And we definitely should talk with you, because we want to take this over to Europe and UK when we can. So we should definitely, with your community and you, definitely do something together, just to it's been really amazing. And I think your students and everybody, just to feature them, and basically it's just us trying to give these people a little boost and start in their career, you know, to help them out, because Mike and I didn't have these opportunities when we were coming up. And, you know, we just feel like when we have this spotlight, you know, and this many eyes on us, and, you know, let's use it for something positive and try to motivate some kids and give them, you know, a step in their career. Like we've taken kids on the morning news shows to feature them, to make them celebrities in their, you know, home cities, to hey, like, here's your resume, here's your kickstart, you were just like a star in your morning news show, you just played a drum solo, you know, like fun stuff like that. And like, you know, it's expanded to Jay Weinberg from Slipknot's done them in Japan and America too, and, you know, all these rad SJC family members have just been doing it. It's become a thing now. So it's really, really cool for the drum community. And I think we all got to just keep, you know, motivating and inspiring each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a great thing to do, because it is so nice to kind of give something back, especially to you know, the younger drummers that are just starting out. And actually, a bit later on, I'm going to ask you about advice for younger drummers. So we'll come back to that. So I believe we evolve as drummers, and we you know, get lots of different influences as we grow up. But if you had to pick just one, who would be your all-time favorite drummer?
I mean, for me, it's just always, it's got to be Tommy Lee, just because of just having that effect on me at a young age. And just even to this day, just, you know, it's everything I love about drums. It's just, it makes you move. It's about playing from the heart and just powerful, you know, groove and, you know, playing right for the song and the musicians that you support. I mean, that's my go-to. And then, like, I would say my second would just be, because I really grew up on funk music as well. It was like, you know, Clyde and Jabo from James Brown, you know, like that stuff. I mean, my dad played me those records when I was really young, and just, I mean, I played over and over and over, just like learning. Like I would always hear people say, like, these records are in the pocket. And I'm like, what the hell does the pocket mean? Like, and they're just like, you can't explain it. Just one day you learn it. And like those records, just playing the simplest beat over and over without adding fills or just anything to learn that. And, you know, like I actually got to see James Brown live before he passed away, and just to see somebody conduct a band like that with that many musicians and two different drummers, and just seeing the chemistry and just how that went down, it was just something really magical to witness. You know, like I was like in the front row fanning out, you know, just getting to watch that. It's just something really, really powerful. I mean, for me, it's just, that's what it's all about. It's just about playing from the heart, the groove, the feeling, which is, to me, it's the greatest, you know, high in the world when you know, we're playing that beat and you're seeing, you know, whether it's 5 people in a bar or 90,000 people at a festival move. They're moving because that beat and that rhythm, and it's pretty insane. I mean, that's the closest thing I think you can do, you know. I just use this references to like playing God, you know, like you're controlling everybody, what they're, the movement, all that. And to sit up on your drum riser in that seat, it's pretty powerful, and it never gets old. It's just, it's something just so magical.
Yeah. Well, someone said to me recently, actually, it's called a drum throne for a reason, because when you're on
Yeah,
that,
man.
when you're on that throne, you know, you're the king.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And actually, a question about like playing different styles of music. So you've said there that you were into funk as well, but obviously talking about Sum 41, you know, it's very punk rock, and you know, there's some really high tempo stuff. So for people that want to get into that style of drumming, punk rock drumming, what little tips can you give for like improving on maybe speed, you know, maybe hi-hat speed, bass drum speed on to get doubles, fast doubles? What tips can you give?
I mean, first thing is to just download a free metronome app and just, you know, start pushing your tempos. You know, start at a certain tempo, and I would not change it for a long time. And just to, you know, I think it's really important for drummers to be one with the click. And, you know, it's to the point now where, you know, I hear the countdown and then it goes away. I don't notice it. It just, it's subconsciously, I don't even ever know that it's there, you know. And it's like, from all those years of just grinding with the metronome, I think, everybody wants, if you want to work, as a drummer with other musicians, a studio musician, you got to have good timing. I mean, like, that's no producers, time is money, everything, I mean, even in some 41, there's some, choruses that we push a couple beats, intentionally, and that kind of natural stuff is good. But when you change it, like, let's say we're going to bump up the chorus, 2-3 BPMs, you need to stay in that BPM, not be, going faster and faster, or slower and slower. And I think, like, just playing to your favorite, songs that are fast, but also, yeah, you can play as fast as you want, but I think, establishing like really slow, emotional grooves that are moving is just as important. It's not just about speed. You should have all those things in your arsenal, but like, it's stamina, man. It's when we're playing this fast, and we we go between punk and metal. I mean, there's some metal stuff that my feet are doing insane stuff that has to lock into those guitars and be dead, machine gun accurate, which is how they're articulated. And it's like, that just comes from the training of playing to my favorite records over and over, and just playing with a metronome, studying books on double bass, and more of these complicated kind of even just single kick drum patterns and things like that. But it's stamina too, which is just like a health thing. It's a health reason. Like, literally 5 minutes before I got on this call with you, my wife was like, "Is this a video call?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're beat red, you're soaking wet. I just came off, I live in the valley in Los Angeles, and it's 85 degrees here, and I just went for a 3.5 mile run, because it's like, I have to, when I'm not on tour, I have to keep up my training this way. When I get behind the kit, I'm not winded 20 seconds into the song. It's like, I have to keep, we are athletes, 100% drummers. I don't care if you play country music or whatever, we are athletes, and you need to train and treat your body like an athlete, because you're not going to last if you don't. It's like, so I constantly train every single day, running, weights, pool training, like breath work, everything I can do to stay at the top of my game. And like, most drummers don't talk about this stuff, and it's like, it's really, really important, because we have to keep the machine operating, and like, to have stamina to play those kind of, there's certain bands where, like, No Effects and Pennywise, it's just the whole time. That's it. And you're not going to last a 30-60 minute set if you're not in shape and have the stamina and all that. You can be the most technical guy in the world and play the actual licks, but let's see you hold up for 30 to 60 minutes straight. When you're playing a show and there's 50,000 people out there going nuts, and your adrenaline, and you're battling the heat and all these things that go into it. Like, I constantly stress my body out in these bad situations, because you know how it is. You get to Europe, UK, you're dealing with gnarly weather, so much, I have bad allergies, all this dust being kicked up at the festivals, and I'm supposed to go out there, and the audience doesn't give a crap. I need to give them that show that they paid for. So I constantly push myself and run in these gnarly weather conditions, and put myself in hard situations where I'm training with weights in the pool, where I can't breathe, to just stress my system and learn how to adapt and do all this stuff. And I'm just constantly on a journey to just better my health and better my well-being. So, because all this just makes my drumming easier, better, and like, if you want to, any advice for drummers on this stuff, I'd be happy to share. And like, look up, XPT, XPT Life, which is an amazing breathwork free app with pool training and exercises. That's what I do. It was started by Laird Hamilton, who's a big wave surfer, who's become, a mentor and dear friend of mine, who's helped me become a better, musician, because of just doing all these different training protocols and all this kind of stuff, which has been amazing. And now that I can't do all that stuff, they've just sent me routines and drills and things I can do at home, just to stay at that operation. And life's hectic now, because we're all stuck at home. I'm full on daddy daycare. I have I have two toddlers, basically, who can't go to daycare now, and my wife works from home, so I'm 8-9 hours a day taking care of the kids, and getting, I make sure I get in my training every single day. And if I have to include the kids, it's like, this isn't the time for excuses and whatever, because I have to still, you know, who knows, things can go back tomorrow or a year from now, we don't know. And I want to be ready and not be gassed, because I need to give the band the fuel that they need to do their jobs. So that's my little tangent on health and, you know, all
No,
that, which is important, man.
it is. Yeah, no, it's just great advice. Absolutely. Now, moving on to learning material for different artists. So when a gig comes in, so, you know, we could talk about the Sum 41 gig or whatever, but when you first get a gig with a new artist, new band, how do you learn the material? So do you just listen to it? Do you listen to it and transcribe it? Are you given a whole folder of here's all the drum music, Frank, the entire show written out for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think whatever way works for you is your own preference, you know, whether it's on your iPad transcribing your own transcription or just by ear. You know, I've been trained by ear my whole life because I played in cover bands, you know, in high school. That I would tour all over America, and basically we'd be playing like 3 hours a night, you know, 3 1 hour sets a night. And we wouldn't rehearse. We would literally, a new, you know, it's a top 40 band, the new, literally Sum 41 hit came out, and I had to go play it. So on the way to the gig, I just would train myself to learn it. And, you know, that really paid off later in life, because I got known in the industry by getting these gigs with Motley Crue, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, Gary Newman. It was like, you know, you hire Zummo, he comes in with no rehearsal and plays that show like he's been in the band the whole time. And, you know, a lot of these legendary artists, they don't want to rehearse, they don't have the time, and they don't want to be thrown for a loop. They want to do their gig and know that their backing band's got their back. So my whole job is to like do the homework. Like, yes, you learn the recording versions as they are, because that's what the artist, but then you have to go on YouTube and see the way they do it live, because they might extend the outro, they might bump it up a couple BPM. So I really do my homework and just geek out and learn it. And then if I need to make like my own little chart sheets, which are just my own little, I do it my own way. If there's anything like that I just need to remember or know, like I'll do a couple little shorthand. If it's something that like maybe I didn't have enough time, you know, like sometimes I'll do sessions where I don't hear the track till I walk in the studio. So I'll just make quick little like, okay, intro, verse, pre-chorus, bridge, double chorus out, just so I have it and I'm not wasting anybody's time and money in the studio because I don't, you know the arrangement entirely. So I can make little cheat sheets. But I think, you know, all this comes from what your personal preference is. But, you know, people don't want to get into a rehearsal room and be held up because you don't know what you're doing. You need to come in there and have your homework done. So you're spending the time, like when we rehearse for tours, Derek will send us the set list weeks in advance. Everybody do your homework. When we get in this room, we're going to work on the segues, the outros, the intros. We're not going to sit there and wait for you because you didn't know this song or you didn't know this beat. Nobody has time. We have crew in there that's working, that needs to work on the production aspects, you know. So it's like do your homework and come in pro, because then you're going to get, you know, known for being the guy that's a professional, you know. And it's like the other part that comes to this too that's so important is like you can be the most professional, prepared, but you also have to like work with people. So you have to be really, really adaptable to work with people, especially if you're going to get a touring gig. You have to live with these people on a tour bus and in a tiny dressing room, whatever it is. You could be the best, most talented person in the world, but if you don't know how to live with other people and work with other people, you're gone. Mm-hmm. So you have to like, you know, and then there's some drummers that say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to tour the world. I'm just going to make my YouTube videos in my room and that's it. And there's people making great incomes. That's a whole nother world now. Like on the last, you know, SJC drum clinic tour we did, we took Christiana Shiano, who's a huge YouTube star now. She opened for me on the first tour like 3 years ago, and she's blown up on YouTube. And it was the first tour she's ever done, first plane she's ever done, first van she's ever gotten in, which was amazing to see. And it's just like, you're doing something that's completely new now, and you don't have to do this, but you're choosing to do this and meet these, you know, people that subscribe to you face to face. And like, you know, it was a trip to see, but it's just funny. These artists that are so successful now, they don't even leave their house. You know, it's wild, man.
Yeah, that's great. Now, moving on to playing live. Have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you've had to recover from?
Yeah, you know, drums obviously, do fall apart no matter how well you maintain them, because I mean they're traveling in trucks that are shaking, but parts get, loose, and again, we're hitting things as hard as we can for however long, a night things happen. But like I've literally had I remember I was like in the middle of a drum solo, right where I'm done with the backing, the like my sample little backing part, and I go into like a whole free form part, and my right beater of my right kick drum just flies off. So it's like drum solo's done. What are you gonna do? I mean, on my left foot, you know, I could have faked my way through it, but I was just like, I gotta just abort mission now, because it threw me for such a loop, and my head wasn't in the right space, and I probably should have just fought through it and just challenged myself. But I just literally was like, okay, nobody knows when the ending is. I was done with this certain part. No one knew, but like it confused the whole crew, the lighting guys and all that. And it's like, really, of the one moment in the show when anything can go wrong, it's got to happen when I'm going to go into an improv part where I highly need, this, thing. I mean, I constantly, for some weird reason, on this last big European tour we were doing, I was blowing out the bottom head on my snare drums like every other day, and we kept changing them, and we're like, a brand new snare drum, nothing wrong with it, and just the bottom heads were blowing out. And we trigger my drums as well, just so when you're not traveling with the same PA system every day, to keep things consistent. Like if one day this PA doesn't have enough mids or highs or lows, the drums are always consistent. So that's when it's like, good. Sounding like I could just take the snare mic off and relay on the trigger till we swap out. But like that was happening. It was just like, really, like that would happen. There's nothing you could do. You got to just get through the song. But I mean, the funniest thing that happened was I have a graded riser, and I used to not put the cups on it for my seat because I thought my seat was fine. And literally in the middle of the show, my front uh, stool went through the riser, and I just literally went forward, face planted into the snare drum. That was great. Um,
Wow.
but nothing too disastrous. Just little things that just happen. It's just normal shit.
Yeah. Awesome. So moving away from drums, what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing away from drums?
I mean, I would say just training, running, just all this health stuff, pool training. Um, you know, that stuff is to me is a hobby as well as it's part of my lifestyle. It's good for my head. It's just good for everything in my life. I really enjoy that. I enjoy, traveling with my family when it's not for work, when we can just go and have, go to some, place and just have really quality, just cut ourselves off. And it's funny to say, but like, cooking and stuff, because when I'm on tour, I don't get to do that. So, you know, now that I've been home, we've literally, since this quarantine hit, we've eaten out like 2 or 3 times, because I'm just so enjoying, cooking and coming up with different recipes and trying different things out, and barbecuing a ton now. And that's been, really fun. I mean, it's just funny, but it's like the more simple things in life have been the hobbies, because, when you're in the touring, I mean, our band tours and tours and tours. And when we're on breaks, I'm running out, with the different DJs I'll tour with, or the drum workshop tours, or my own solo stuff. So, I'm just constantly, I mean, it was pretty much a year straight that I was just out until this hit. I hadn't had more than 7 days off for the entire year. 7 days was the biggest, 7 or 9 days maybe for Christmas. And I was literally at the airport about to fly to Mexico and was told to go home when this whole thing happened. We were supposed to be literally out for the rest of this year and next year. So now everything's getting rescheduled for next year when we already had a busy next year. So I'm just really enjoying this quality family time, especially when I have, such, young children, that it's important for me to be around this time. It's kind of a good reset, for family time. And it's like, you just got to make a negative thing a positive thing, because the whole world's going through this together. It's out of our control, and being negative and stressing out, it does nothing. So I'm just trying to focus on the good and the positive, and it's going to make me appreciate touring and playing drums and having concerts and all this stuff even more. I mean, I already did that. It was able to be my livelihood, but and that my passion I get to still do. But now it's going to have a whole nother meaning, and I miss it dearly. I mean, I'm definitely having like serious withdrawals for sure, because it's something we all need, that release, and just that, just that schedule too, when it's just like, I was born and raised in New York. I have that very, very quick go, 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 go. So to be told like, there's no schedule right now, you're home, and it's just like, okay, challenge accepted. Like, how do we, and I will say the saving grace is having children, because children make it so fun and make the days go by quick. I mean, I have 2 boys, 4 and 1, and they're on fire. So it's really, if I told my wife, if we didn't have kids, it'd probably be a lot harder for sure. And the days would be longer, and you'd have more time to kind of, think about it and start messing with your head. So the kids have been just a great distraction, if you would,
Yeah.
it's not the best term to use, but yeah.
Yeah. I've got a 2.5-year-old, so I know what you mean. But he's
It's a party.
he's at the like the proper like tantrum stage right now. So
And there's just, you got to let them, it's just part of, you did it, I did it. It's just, you got to, you just got to let them do it. And my tact is just, when things escalate, it's just better to be chill, because if you get upset and take it to that level, even though we want to burst off like a tea kettle, nobody wins, and it just makes it escalate and go even farther. So, like I've noticed, like, when they don't have naps and whatever, and like we call it the witching hour, is usually around 4 o'clock every day when I'm starting dinner. And it's like, great, I need to focus and make dinner, and it's just chaos. It's like, okay, scoop them up, let's go outside, everybody jump in the little inflatable pool and get on your bike. And it's like, you got to just refocus the energy, otherwise it's gonna crumble, for sure.
talking about cooking, well, maybe not quite cooking, but food. Here's my curveball question for you. So, what's your favorite cookie?
Ooh, I'd say oatmeal raisin, like a good home baked oatmeal raisin. Like when I'm on tour and we're in catering, if those things show up, man, it's bad news, because yeah, I'm not really a sweets guy, but there's certain things like dark chocolate and oatmeal raisin cookies, that's my jam for sure.
If you could give one bit of advice, just one, to up and coming drummers, what would that be?
That, I say this at the workshops every single time, and I think it does translate well. And it's just what my belief system and what my journey's been. It's that, literally, if this is what you want to do, and you want to do this for your life, and this is what you're passionate about, and this is your everything, make it happen. Just make it happen and do whatever you have to do. Tunnel vision, and don't stop until it happens. And it's that simple, man. Like, it's not about luck and being at the right place at the right time. Yeah, those things do happen, but it's far, the success stories, it doesn't add up on that. It's like, it's about literally setting your path. This is what I want to do, and like my parents, they never sat me down and told me to have a B plan, or, I always was like, I don't ever want them to sit me down and have that awkward conversation. So I want to just, so, I literally well-rounded myself in every musical style. Even though I wanted to be a rock drummer, I learned Afro-Cuban, and I learned Broadway show tunes. Like, I went to the Drummers Collective in New York City instead of college. That was my college. And I studied with these guys that kicked my ass and taught me shit that was out of my wheelhouse, got my reading chops up. I took gigs on cruise ships, playing, in these magician shows and things that, it wasn't obviously what the end result was, but I wanted to well-round myself so I could always work. Because, you know what, if at the end of the day I was a drummer on a cruise ship, I'd still be stoked, because there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing music and I'm making a living because this is all I want to do. So, I wanted to be known in the industry as a guy that's just not like a one-trick pony, because I wanted to always work and do this. So I would just say, well-round yourself, learn to read, learn to write, learn to, make music, and, just, keep doing it. And, if you keep doing it, you'll eventually find your learn to play all different styles, really challenge yourself, and don't stop until it happens. I mean, it's that simple and that easy. And I'm proof of it, man. I'm no different than anybody out there. And I just had this vision path, which I still to this day live by and you know, I'm motivated
So
by.
Frank, thank you so much for spending your time with us here at DrumWise today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Much love to everybody in the UK, and see you guys for Slam Dunk in May.